Welcome to Prime Sports with me, Daniel Kranting. And Ghana Football Association President Okraku says he's yet to decide whether he will run for a third term after Congress's decision to extend the presidential term limit from 2 to 3. Addressing the media after today's Congress in Pram, Okraku said the subject of the term limit should not be the main topic of conversation, but explain the rationale behind the decision.
We have, at the minute, this has been heavily explained by everybody. But for the purpose of this gathering, let us go back into time. Even before we signed up to 2019 status, all of us at the gathering, at the meeting, agreed that we're going to change. We're going to effect changes after the elections. This is a statement of fact, because there were certain provisions in the status which we did not agree to. Few months down the line, we started the process. And the process went into another gear 3 years ago when we formed the Status Review Committee and accepted proposals for membership. Fast forward, we've arrived today, and Congress has overwhelmingly approved the vision and the clarion call that was made in 2019. Thank you. So first of all, it is in alignment with the provisions of FIFA and of CAF, which states clearly that the president can go up to a maximum of 3 terms. And secondly, to correct an identified anomaly also in our 2019 status, which specifically says that an ESCO member can go 3 terms, the vice president who is an ESCO member can go 3 terms, but the president, who is also an ESCO member and chairman of the board, can only go 2 terms. We found this to be an anomaly, and therefore we had to correct this. Thank you.
We are joined in studio by my colleague Victor Achu Tamaklo for more on this story. Achu, you were at Congress earlier today. You asked the president of the Ghana Football Association the question on the rationale behind the decision to change the term limit from 2 to 3. What went on, basically, the mood in Congress after that?
I think it confirmed 2 things for us. It was the day the Football Association took a step away from its public acceptance, but also solidified their base within the football constituency. And I think it was significant on many levels for Okraku, because the numbers that we saw approving that proposal are numbers that even Kwesi Ntechi, who came to have a stronghold of the football space to the extent that if he presented any proposal to Congress, it had overwhelming support. He got to that level far advanced in his career, probably in year 8 or year 7. But Okraku has been able to push this through, having whipped people in line, having lobbied, if you like, to ensure that there were not going to be any surprises for this, to ensure that they dealt with, let's not forget, on Friday, there was the threat of an injunction because King Faisal went to court. They thought they had secured an injunction. What was left was for them to serve it on the Ghana Football Association and prevent today's exercise. It did not happen. The other part was to ensure that the numbers that they had projected they were going to secure were intact. And today, when the vote eventually was put up, or when the proposal was put up for a vote, they managed to secure that vote. So today was significant in the sense that for Okraku, it was confirmation of his growing control of the football space and the relevant power blocks in that space. For the constituents themselves and the members of the Ghana Football Association, it was a show that they were not really comfortable with a lot of the changes that the Normalization Committee made in 2019, and even the fact that they essentially were forced to slash the term limit, reduce the composition of the Executive Council, and so many of the raft of changes that were introduced in 2019. This was their way of saying that we're back in control of the saddle and that we are going to run football the way we want to.
Let's talk about, yes, the term limit is for the office of the presidency, not necessarily for Keto Okraku, because for Keto Okraku himself, he, at the press conference, said he's yet to decide whether he will run for a third term. Let's take a look at that particular response.
We have, at the minute, almost 2.5 years. I think that question is premature, of whether Keto Okraku would seek re-elections. I think now there was another question of whether Keto Okraku would seek re-elections. I think that question is premature. We have, at the minute, almost 2.5 years to serve the Ghanaian game. And when it comes to that time, I will make a decision. Just like many other people who are eligible to make a decision and to contest. Okay, so this should not be a topic for us. What should be a topic is how we handle the new wind that is blowing around our domestic game, the high level of investment that the FA has worked to bring it to a reality, and how well our clubs can respond to our current situation in our attempt to develop the Ghanaian game. Yeah, so actually, certainly Okraku doesn't want us to dwell on this matter, yes. But do you think it's just one of those things where he's saying for the public press, but deep down he knows he's going for a third term?
I think he knows he's going for a third term. I think the sort of control that today showed him that he had is no one that politicians in the football space like to let go of easily. Kwesi Nyantakyi is a wonderful example in that regard. But also, when I spoke to people at Congress, when we heard from the chief executive of Mediama, even Hatzebuk's rep there's a certain inertia towards kicking against the establishment and any proposal that they bring forward. And they see any opposition to any idea, however big or small it may be, to be a sign of dissonance, a sign that they are putting their position in the association in jeopardy. And it goes to the principle that no one wants to swim too close to a drowning man, right? So they would rather side with the establishment and ensure that they back them. That's why today you did not have too many dissenting views. You did not have too many people even speaking against the proposal itself. I mean, everything that we had seen in the last couple of weeks, there was no organized front speaking against the proposal to essentially speak to the ills of it, and even, and more importantly, mobilize support against it. Because the most important thing in this conversation, beyond saying you don't agree with it, is being able to convince people that it is within their interest and your interest and the interest of the Football Association that they reject this. We did not see that. And so when Keto Okraku sits back and takes stock of all of this and realizes that, look, he's in a position where almost everyone is in support of any idea he would bring, however unpopular it may be. And this was very unpopular. I mean, you have to look across social media. You have to listen to the people on the ground who are not part of the football ecosystem. And not a lot of people speak in favor of this. But the people at Congress today were very comfortable to essentially extol the attributes of Keto Okraku and all of that. We can see why he has that groundswell of support. But that is the football space now. Let's not forget, the last elections, he went unopposed. Yeah. So as we speak, there is no credible opponents that Keto Okraku will have that will perhaps threaten any third term. And that's why I think today was significant, even more than the elections that we will have in 2027.
Let's talk about other issues aside the whole presidential term limits. The Ghana Premier League was big subject on the floor. Yeah. The prize money. We got a lot of clarity to some of the questions that were asked. Yeah. Let's start off with the second point. The winner of the Ghana Premier League to earn 2 million Ghana cedis. That's a 300% increase from last season. And we are sure that that has something to do with the whole Adisa production partnership with government and the GFA.
Exactly. And he clarified that. So I asked the GFA President Keto Okraku at the press conference after Congress, they gave us the opportunity to ask them questions, and I asked him 3 questions: where the money was coming from, how much was being invested overall, and how long this is going to be. And he said this partnership is for 3 years. As to the full quantum of money that they are pumping into this, he said they were unable to quantify because a lot of that is going into production costs, the marketing components of it, and several other items that will come together to enhance the product, that is the Ghana Premier League. But what he was able to confirm was that apart from the 1 million Ghana cedis that the clubs are going to get, apart from the 2 million Ghana cedis the winners are going to get, there is a total of 9.5 million Ghana cedis also as prize money tied to the various positions that clubs will finish on the league.
Let's hear from the GFA President, Okraku, speaking on that particular matter.
I said the money that will be made available to our clubs is from the partnership. This is what I said. I said the money that will be made available to our clubs is from the joint venture. The joint venture is responsible for the production and distribution of the content, for the content to be commercialized, and for general commercialization of our GPL. This is very clear, and it's important all of us understand the model. When we do, we will not have any problems. The FA has entered into a joint venture with Adisa Productions. We have created a special vehicle for this purpose, and the initial period will be for a 3-year tenure. It's a marriage that we intend to protect and to develop. At this moment, I'm not thinking about negativity as to whether it will end over 3 years or it will go 6 years. Because you don't know tomorrow, and I do not know tomorrow. What I know is that I'm positive about our today, and if we work well, our tomorrow will be better. We need to maximize the full benefits of this special purpose vehicle and its benefits that it comes with. For the first time in the history of the Ghanaian game, our football is being supported to the levels like never before. And this is a true picture of how far we have come and how well we have worked with all key stakeholders. Let me say, and just like I said at the launch, this partnership has the full backing and support of our sector minister and from government.
The GFA President, Okraku, with some clarity there. But let's talk about some of the other issues. The first one, right on top there, the GFA to partner with the RFAs to introduce an inter-district festival and regional challenge caps for under 15 boys and girls in the 2025-2026 season. To be frank, this administration have had youth football at the heart of...
Big on the agenda.
Big on the agenda.
And beyond the policies, they are also putting monies at the behest of these lads. They are making money available for them to rule this. So I think for each year, each RFA is going to get about 100,000 Ghana cedis for each program, which is very good. They still run with 10 regions. So you're looking at 1 million Ghana cedis per season from beginning this season, right? And then you have the FIFA licensed referees as well. Look, you have to say that...
Big increase for them.
You have to say that as far as this regime is concerned and their approach to the referees, it is the best that this country has seen. They raised the bar by over 100% in their first tenure. Now they are even increasing it to 2,500 Ghana cedis per FIFA licensed referee, and then all others are going to get 2,000 Ghana cedis. It is a big deal in terms of ensuring that the referees are properly compensated. Because in the past, if you look at some of the expenses they had to make, it took away a chunk of the money. This time around, there is also some discounts for the referees as far as their transportation expenses are concerned. So generally, the conditions of service for referees in the Ghana Premier League and even the Division 1 League are going to be better, particularly for the FIFA licensed referees. And
on the subject of the referees, at least we know for the Division 1 clubs, the FA has said they are going to take away referees costs from the clubs. So from next season, Division 1 clubs will not be paying for referees costs. But let's go to these last two. Pretty interesting. The GFA to open partnerships with credible legal betting companies who wish to engage with the association's football ecosystem transparently and ethically. They also said that the games listed on various betting platforms are illegal.
Yes.
So basically, the betting platforms must come to the FA and engage with them before they'll be given the license to operate it.
And this is something they said a year ago, and 2 years ago, and 3 years ago. And I think today the consensus at Congress was that some of the members want to see the FA bites, right? Some of them want to see that the FA is taking on, because we know the companies that have been listing Ghana Premier League matches on their website. So if you repeatedly have said this, you have sounded out warnings, you have engaged them, and still they are not stopping. At a certain stage, you want to activate the legal processes and ensure that you get your pound of flesh for those who are prepared to do business with you, and also stop those who are illegally listing your games on their websites.
Thank you very much. Victor Achu Tamaklo from the Joy Sports Desk. He was at the GFA's Congress in Pram Pram earlier today. Let's move on to some more stories. Let's do some athletics now, where Ghana's 100-meter record holder Abdul Rashid Saminu clocked 10.01 seconds to finish second behind Jamaica's Kishane Thompson at the Hungarian Grand Prix earlier today. It was Saminu's first competition on the European circuit, having ended his collegiate season with the NCAA Championships back in June. The 27-year-old beat off competition from Africa's fastest men, Ferdinand Omanyala and Akani Simbine.
So close to breaking 10 seconds this season. He goes in 4. Oh, there was a bit of a twitch in the blocks there from Kishane Thompson, but he seems to have got away from it. Fast start on the far side from Ronnie Baker, but Kishane Thompson of Jamaica coming through. Strong finish from Simbine, but not strong enough. Kishane Thompson takes the win, 9.96. Doesn't look overly comfortable jogging away from that, Kishane Thompson.
Some more perspective on this story is Joy Sports editor Fenjo Fenjo. Thank you very much for joining us. This is a big deal for Rashid Saminu, not just in terms of the time he clocked, but the fact that he was able to hold his own against some of the best in the world.
It's great for him because we've often spoken about the lack of competition for our athletes, especially after the collegiate season. So it's a good thing that he's in the European circuit now, his first ever race in Europe. It's coming at a time that is exactly 4 weeks to the World Championships in Tokyo, which get underway from the 13th of September. And if you look at that 100-meter lineup, it was stacked because it had the world's fastest man this season, Kishane Thompson, who ran 9.75, is a personal best for him to win the Jamaican Championships. And one of the other athletes in that race as well, Akeem Blake, he finished third in the Jamaican Championship. So he's part of the Jamaican trio that will be representing the country at the World Championships. Then you've got Akani Simbine, who has won an incredible 8 of his 10 100-meter races this season, including 3 Diamond League wins under his belt this season alone. And then you've got Omanyala, who, of course, hasn't been running too well this season. His best time has been 10.00 seconds that he ran at the Botswana Grand Prix back in April. But he's still an athlete with a lot of pedigree. And the fact that Saminu lined up right next to Akani Simbine, one of, if not the biggest sprint icon in African history, and to be able to hold him off and clock a second place, although the time was the same, he and Simbine both crossed the line at 10.01. I think that was still very impressive for him. We are finally getting the answer to whether or not our athletes can do it against the top around the world. And today was a good indication of what Saminu is capable of. I need to point out, Daniel, that in that lineup today, apart from Kishane Thompson, No other athlete in that lineup, in that 100-meter lineup this season has run faster than Rashid Saminu up until this particular race. Not single, not even Akani Simbine. This season, Akani Simbine's season best has been 9.86 seconds, which he ran to win the Botswana Grand Prix, the same race that saw Omanyala run 10.00 seconds. So Saminu has run an incredible 9.86 and another 9.84. He's broken the national record twice already this season. So he's the 7th fastest man in the world this year. And if you look at today's lineup, he was the 2nd fastest man there. And so true to form, he finished 2nd. So it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't something that came out of nowhere. The indications had been there. The trajectory of his performance has been there and it's been coming. I'm told that he has another race in Germany this coming weekend before he goes back to America. My wish would have been that he could continue to stay in Europe a little longer because there's Silesia, also coming up. And these are, races that have some of the very best, because apart from just a test of speed, it's also a test of character.
Yeah.
Because when you race against the very best, it builds your own confidence going into the World Championship. Because, apart from the Americans, quite clearly, this could easily have been an Olympic or World Championship final, and he would have been on the podium, but by his 2nd place finish today. So a big deal for him. I had a chat with him, Daniel, and apparently he says that he was locked up by the AIU for 2 hours, taking samples of him, trying to test him and what have you, coming on the back of what has happened to Fred Kelly just a few hours ago, being suspended for whereabout failures. It's critical. It means that he's getting noticed, and people need to pay attention to a lot of that. But I think this is good. Hopefully, this weekend's race also goes well. And my wish would have been that he could stay in Europe maybe for at least another week or 2 more weeks, and then goes to Tokyo from there. But nonetheless, especially given how much gap there had been, Daniel, from when the NCAA season ended at the end of June, and now it's been about 6 weeks, and he didn't do too well at the NCAA championships. He didn't even make the 100-meter final. And in the 200 meters, he finished last. Then he went and broke the national record right after that at the end of July. And then he's come here and he's done incredibly well. So good stuff for him. Hopefully, he can carry that momentum into Tokyo. It's still a long way from now.
Fen, before I let you go, when you look at the times that were registered today and in recent weeks, is it a trend that we see in terms of not the fastest times very close to the World Championship? Because, talking about the fastest man in the world this year, he ran 9.95. Then the 2nd place gets 10.01. Should we be getting closer to the 9.8s and the 9.7s very close in just a couple of weeks to the World Championships? Or this is a normal trend that seems to happen when the big championships are coming around?
I think this is a normal trend. You have to remember that Jamaica also did their national championships at the end of June. In fact, around the same time that the NCAA season was also ending. And Keishan Thompson ran 9.75 in that particular race. So he hadn't also run for the past 6 weeks. This is his first race as well since the Jamaican championships. And then you've got Saminu, who's running only his 2nd races. Then Akani Simbine and Omanyala have run a bit more often. But I think for today's race especially, there was also a very strong headwind. Let's not forget. The wind speed was against them minus 0.4 meter per second. In fact, if you adjust that for a tailwind of even 1.0, Rashid's 10.01 second could be a 9.95 easily. And that 9.95 that Keishan Thompson ran, adjusted for a tailwind of even the minimum 1.0 meter per second, could easily be a 9.88 or a 9.90. So it's not exactly slow, but it was 4 weeks. A lot of them are still biding their time and taking it easily. They're not competing too many because there's a risk of burnout. If you notice, some of the top athletes are not necessarily jumping at opportunities to run these races here and there. So everybody is choosing theirs carefully. In fact, the women's race today also saw Shelley Fraser-Pryce run for the first time since the Jamaican Championships. So everyone is taking a bit of time. So you expect the times to be slightly slower because they want to time their peak to be a little closer to Tokyo.
Thank you very much for that, Fenjo Tahu, Fenjo Joy Sports Editor, bringing an end to Prime Sports with me, Daniel Okraku. Thanks for your time.